The Siren is Kaisi Berick. He calls himself an audio frequency scientist who creates and produces music and video. He calls his very diverse musical style Epic Step, which is a fusion of metal, core, dubstep, and electro. He also plays rock, R&B, hip-hop, jazz, and even classical. He is the winner of numerous awards, including Global Music Awards in the alternative category, Best in Las Vegas, Music Producer of the Year, and Academia Music Awards, Best Pop Dance Song. He's nominated for 2 award categories with Hollywood Music and Media Awards, and also as LA Music Awards Pop Artist of the Year. Let's see now a video. Turnkey Tyranny, The Siren, right now.
The NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. It ingests them by default. It collects them in its system, and it filters them, and it analyzes them, and it measures them, and it stores them for periods of time. Any analyst at any time can target anyone. They're getting everyone's calls, everyone's call records, and everyone's internet traffic as well. The NSA lied about the existence of this tool in order to create a certain mindset in the global consciousness. The structures of power that exist are working to their own ends to extend their capability at the expense of the freedom of all publics. That's the world that you helped create, and it's going to get worse with the next generation and the next generation who extend the capabilities of this sort of architecture of oppression. I think that the public is owed an explanation. When you are subverting the power of government, that's a fundamentally dangerous thing to democracy. consistently as the government does when it wants to benefit from a secret action that it took. Government is going to grant themselves powers unilaterally to create greater control over American society and global society. This is something that's not our place to decide. The public needs to decide whether these programs and policies are right or wrong. That's not something I'm willing to support. It's not something I'm willing to do. And it's not something I'm willing to live under. So I think anyone who opposes that sort of world has an obligation to act in the way they can. This is the truth. This is what's happening. You should decide whether we need to be doing this. And no one is really standing to stop it. And there will be nothing that people can do at that point to oppose it. And it'll be turnkey tyranny. Stand up and fight to change things.
Kaisi, wow. Thanks for coming on the Nowman show.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Loved seeing Edward Snowden in that.
Right? That's actually the first time ever in history that he was put into music like that.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
very cool.
It's probably been done again now, but at the time.
At the time. Now, when did you make that?
That was, I think, back in like 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because that album came out 2012, but then I had to wait a little bit till the beginning, I think, of 2013. But I had a lot of the material already done, you know, for a while before I released it.
And we'll talk about your live thing a little bit later on. First of all, I always like to go back to where you started. When did you first get into music?
When I was a little kid, my dad, phenomenal guitarist.
Really?
One of the best I've ever seen, like in the flesh.
Yeah.
So awesome. And he had like 40 guitars and walls of amps, and he was playing all over the place, opening up for great bands like Winger, Noisy Mama, Guns N' Roses, and all kinds of those guys from back then. And I grew up at his shows, going to his shows as a little kid. So I always had guitars to play on and little keyboards to play on and stuff. So I just kind of grew up with it and learned as I went along.
Excellent. So you grew up in Youngstown, Ohio.
That's it.
Yeah.
The Yo.
I'm constantly meeting people from the part of the country where I was born also and raised. So yeah, I understand. So you played initially the keyboard first or the guitar first, or what? How did
both.
That work?
Yeah, I just had like one of those little, like Casio, old school little 80s keyboards. You know, nothing special. I would just like play that when I was a little kid, just mess with it. And like I said, my dad had all his guitars, so I would always just mess with his guitars.
Let's watch another video.
Yep.
This is Ride with the Siren.
The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning. Move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Take cover now.
sky, it's like a ballet. Flashes in my vision stays. Maybe I will die today. I can see the world around me going sideways, sideways. I'ma ride all day till the sun's removed. I'ma ride all night through the howling moon. I'ma ride all day, I'ma ride all night. I'ma ride, yeah, I'ma ride. I'ma ride all day till the end of this. I'ma ride right through the apocalypse. I'ma ride all day, I'ma ride all night. I'ma ride, yeah, I'ma ride. I'ma ride. I'ma ride. I'ma ride. I'ma ride. Spinning inside, inhale the storm, electrified. Don't wake me up, spinning inside, inhale the storm, electrified.
When I see those tornadoes, I think of, Tornado Alley, because I lived, not only in Ohio and Indiana, but Oklahoma, and that's the whole Tornado Alley there.
Yeah, fantastic
Like-
area. What inspired the name The Siren was growing up in Ohio.
Yeah.
All the time, hearing the sirens going off because there's tornado warnings and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. It was like, as a kid, that was traumatic.
Yeah.
Now I'm obsessed with it and I love it, and I want to go storm chasing for fun.
Epic Step is the name of your style. So what does that consist
All
of?
right, it's because it's got like pop and classical and dubstep and like all these things, and I was like, it's just epic,
A whole
It's just like
mishmash
it's a
of-
cinematic thing,
Yeah.
It's what it's about.
And also, too, when people learn about your music, what's your website? Where can they go hear you
Everything
online?
is all What Is the Siren? So whatisthesiren.com.
That's the source.
At What Is the Siren? Yeah, that's it.
Now, you're going to stick around, right, for panel discussion, and we can go
Absolutely.
into some political stuff and what where your views are in activism and all that kind of stuff. Kaisi,
What's happening?
I'm doing good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So what you're a musician, so tell us a little bit about your politics too.
Yeah, I'm an award-winning music artist and producer, but I'm also a heavy activist doing, exposing a lot of things through my music. But I'm one of the producers of the Free and Equal Elections Foundation, where we're trying to get people off the mindset of red or blue, Democrat, Republican, and let it just completely get rid of that and get it back to more of the basic how the Constitution was, which never had that in it. So whoever has the best ideas for the nation and for humanity as in the planet as a whole, those are the people that we should be looking at. Scientific ideas where they can make abundance for everyone based on maybe transforming things to geothermal or magnetic energy, tidal energies, all these different types of clean energies that we can start redesigning the infrastructure of our planet, maybe first with our nation to set an example, but the whole goal is obviously the planet. So too many left and right, different sides, they're not really focusing on this really important issue. They're still all wrapped up in the corporatocracy and the banks and the oil industry, and everything still kind of feeds them, the pharmacy industry, everything feeds them. So they all steer clear of this free energy type of model. And I'm part of, if you guys have seen the Zeitgeist films by Peter Joseph, I'm part of the Zeitgeist media team as well. I perform at all of his events every year, and I'm a big part of that in the Venus Project, where we can use technology now. It's at such a level where it can set all of us free on this entire planet to where we all are living in abundance with basic things like food, water, shelter taken care of. When it comes to 3D printing houses within 24 hours, which is easily done now. And all these different energy types of systems that we can put into play. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I performed and produced the third-party presidential debates this last presidential
2016.
race. Yep.
Yeah.
It was at Colorado University.
That was moderated by Christina Tobin.
Yep.
And,
Christina
Ed Asner.
Tobin is the founder of the Free and Equal Elections, and she took me on years ago as a partner to help with the live aspect of it all, with the artists and the stage and all that stuff. And
I think I was there in 2012 with Immortal Technique, and Wu-Tang was there, Sean Stone.
Yeah, it was great
and
times.
Lee
Great
Camp.
times.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh yeah. She's great. So we're just trying to do whatever we can, little by little, you know.
This is not a humorous question, but I think you'll get the drift of it. What happened? Do you understand the joke? That's the name of Hillary's book. Of course, I've made jokes to people about, well, it pretty much says it all on the cover, except they left out the DNC, but that's pretty much it. But seriously, what happened is, we've seen with the hurricanes, the intensity of, we were talking about that earlier, Kaisi, the intensity of storms increasing, because where we grew up, we experienced tornadoes, and it's just getting worse. The intensity of the storms is getting worse. The frequency of the storms is getting worse. Citizens United, that's what's happened.
Well, you could also take Hillary's title as a rhetorical question that is open-ended, that addresses all of our major conventional institutions that are in crisis.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Our political institutions, our electoral institutions, our economic institutions, our social institutions.
What isn't in crisis right now?
What isn't in crisis? It's all happening now before her eyes, and she asks this question.
Right, I know.
We're finally at a point where it's easy for us as humans to be able to expose corruption now within people's teams and all these things like that. And once so much corruption gets exposed, even if media tries to cover it up and play it off, people know. They read it, they hear it, they see it, and they're like, well, that's that, and they can try to cover it up all they want, but once it's out, it's out. And a lot of people are just tired of it now. A lot of people are tired of politics in general. And I feel that politics is an outdated means of control. And based on using sciences now that we have achieved, we can let science set everything up to where everybody's eating, everybody has roofs over their heads. Look at all the money that was spent on all these fake wars over fake weapons of mass destruction. And that was what really woke me up when I saw 9/11 happen, and I watched it, and I was watching in my classroom at school, and I saw I was like looking at another plane. I was like, oh, look guys, looks like that plane's gonna hit it too. Just joking, and then it did. I'm like, wow. When I saw that, and as it started to unfold, and they went over there with all these WMD claims and all this stuff, and then it ended up not being real, I was like, wow. That's some corrupt government stuff right there, and that was really what woke me up to our own system not representing the people's best interests and representing the corporatocracy. So yeah, we gotta stop spending all that trillions of dollars on war for no reason, causing division and death. And if we put that money into rebuilding the infrastructure of our nation, let alone the world afterwards, but first our nation, we would have enough to pay for everybody's schooling, everybody's hospitals, and we'd be able to redesign the infrastructure with clean energy systems everywhere. We can install turbines just on the East Coast. And I went to college for computer electronic energy engineering just for fun, and we can install turbines, tidal turbines, along the East Coast, minimal manpower to keep them operating, and it would bring in enough tidal energy, perpetual motion, to power the majority of America. It would go all the way up to the Mississippi, which is technically the majority of the population on that side. And that's just one form. That's just
right.
one form. It would be
That's
about
right.
$10 billion to make
right.
this happen. That's it, $10
That's
billion.
right. I
We
know.
spend trillions on war, but yet
Yeah.
we could literally redesign everything and make everybody safe and healthy. But no, the corporate powers won't let this happen.
Yeah, I know. To your point, the Brazilian student that I know from the school where you work, he's probably not going there now, but he said, I have to talk to you about this, Dan. He said, I went to Iceland during the summer break, and
Geothermal.
They have so much wind there, that one of the reasons why they like to use the ecotourism is to show the tourists just how much wind is there and what could be done if they had the technology to harness it into energy production. And you know how much per year, and this is wind in the mountains and on the ground, both. If they could harness that and make it, you know how much energy they could produce in a year? Everything that Europe would need for an entire year. There's so many solutions out there.
There is.
And see, and people don't know about it.
They don't.
Again,
They
to
don't.
the point, they don't want us to know about that because, you know, Michael Parente, if you know who that is, he's an author and educator. He basically says that, well, you know, when they give us that line about the military, you know, and we're going into other parts of the world to bring democracy, no. They're going to other parts of they're thinking about the bottom line and how they're going to make huge profits.
Huge profits.
That's all they're thinking about.
It's huge profits. And speaking of Iceland, I'm into the cryptocurrency Bitcoin world
Yes,
a lot.
yeah.
Okay,
Tell us about that.
I will, but I was looking into setting up some mining rigs. Okay, and I was analyzing kilowatts per hour in Los Angeles, and it was like, I don't know, like in the teens. Okay, cents per hour. Then I was looking at my home state, Ohio. It was much cheaper. It was 6.5 cents or something like that per kilowatt per hour. I looked at Iceland. That whole country, the majority of their power is ran off of geothermal plants, okay? And their kilowatt per hour, 0.009 of a cent. Not, you know, a fraction of a penny per hour. And I was like, wow, well, if I want to set this company up, that's where I got to go set it up. And I looked into it, and then I was like, oh, that's where Genesis Mining is set up, the biggest Bitcoin mining company in the world. And I was like, that's why they're there. All right, they did the same research I did, and they found that spot as well. So yeah, I mean, we could all be living, and that's just one form. Like you're saying, there's many other forms to add on to that. And now we have the technology with the solar power. People think, oh, solar power is expensive, big panels. We're at the point now where we have, literally they have stuff they can spray over windows and buildings, and it's nanoparticle technology with solar. And it's a clear window. You can see right through it.
That's right.
Yet it has a clear glaze over it that is actually absorbing all that energy, and we just need to put that into capacitors and store it for later use. And I mean, we're so far beyond this stuff. We are decades and decades and decades beyond a free, clean energy system. But we're being held back.
It's great to have you on the show, Kaisi. Thank you so much for sharing your music. And
yeah, man, you're awesome. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You know, and now what we're going to do is we're going to actually have some live music here in the studio with the Siren, and it's called Die With Me. Until next time, this is Niswander, and you are watching the Nowman Show. Be present always.
Floating to the boat with you.
I think we need a new renaissance. What can we do together to help make the world a better place?
We need a new renaissance.